Hi everyone, this is Matt from tracyandmatt.co.uk and for unboxings.com, and here I have the Dell Streak. This is really Dell's first foray into an Android tablet. This is a mobile internet device, although it is also capable of making calls, but I'm just going to do a quick unbox for you. At the moment the Streak is exclusive to O2, so you can only get it on an O2 network. You can't even buy it direct from Dell at the moment. Whether or not that will change, I'm not 100% sure, but we thought we'd just do a quick unbox and a little demo for you. So first of all, we have the quick start guide right on the top, which covers all the basics on, well, believe it or not, getting started, and tells you what all the bits and pieces are all about, so we'll look at that in a second. The device itself is right on top. Interesting, doesn't feel as heavy as I expected it to be, considering its size, but we'll again come back to that in just a second. The next part is the battery or back cover, which we'll return to again, and then the battery itself, which is a 1530 milliamp hour battery. It's quite large and fairly weighty. So what else is in the box? Underneath we have another inner box, which we'll just unpack. So you have a SIM card here because it's come from O2. Inside, let's take a look. So the first thing we have inside is a little case, so let's take a look at that. It looks fairly basic. It's just a thin unpadded bag really, rather than a case. Looks like the material is such that you can actually use it to clean the screen, which is I guess quite useful, but it won't offer a great deal of protection for the device. Then we have the warranty and support information, and safety and environmental and regulatory information. Very interesting. Next is a headset. Let's just unpack that. So we have different size of rubber covers for the headphones, and then the headphones themselves. So we have a 4-pole 3.5mm jack, so that's a sort of a standard item, and means you can use your own headphones. Then we have an inline microphone with a push button, so you can actually use it for as a wired headset for actually making voice calls. And then the headphones themselves, they look okay. They're not ever so heavy, so magnets might not be fantastic in them, but at least they are in-ear headphones, so they look reasonably good, so not too bad. What else do we have in the box? We have a European style adapter for the mains plug. We then have a UK style, and the mains adapter itself. Unpack. This is particularly well wrapped, so much so that I can barely get into the thing. Let's just tear it off. There we go. And that's a reasonably attractive looking charger, I suppose. It's Dell branded, and it is a standard USB style, so you use a USB cable to charge the device itself, and this is the cable. Just move that out of the way. And the cable is, just open it so you can see properly. Standard USB on one end, as you can see there. That obviously plugs into your PC, Mac, or actually into the charger itself. Then we have what looks like an iPod style connector there. Looks like the iPod style 30-pin. I don't imagine that that's going to be compatible, but it does look similar. So that's your USB cable. Slightly irritating in that if you lose that, you might be a little bit stuffed, and you might want to really try and get another one of those, so you have one at work, one at home, that kind of thing. So let's take a look at the Streak itself. It's pretty large. We obviously have the 5-inch display on the front. 5-inch display is actually made of Gorilla Glass, extremely tough and next to indestructible really. Scratch resistant, crack resistant, and just about everything else, so pretty impressive. Now on first inspection, to me the device really does look like a large BlackBerry Storm. It has that sort of styling element around there, but I assure you that it's not BlackBerry. On the front we also have a VGA camera, which is going to be used for video conferencing. I understand that's not really supported at the moment. That's due to be added in a later upgrade. Then we have the little loudspeaker there, which is what you will hold to your ear when you're actually using the device to make a audio phone call. Have a series of buttons underneath. Really they want to be in that arrangement, so landscape rather than portrait. So you have your home menu and back button sort of down that side rather than kind of that way around. It's designed to be that way around. Looking around, let's start with kind of what I guess would be the bottom. We have the sync connector, so that's obviously where we plug in the sync charge cable. As I say, it does look very similar to an iPod style connector. I doubt that's compatible though. Nothing really to see on either end. The ends are pretty clean, pretty straightforward. But on what would be the top, we have the power button, camera button, and then an up and down kind of, I guess, volume control and that sort of thing is sort of with that rocker there. Then we have the 3.5mm headphone connector, obviously for plugging in your own headphones or the wired headset that comes with it. On the back, well, we already have a 16 gig micro SDHC memory card in place, which is pretty cool. And this is where our SIM card would go, and then obviously the battery goes in this main compartment. So let's go ahead and pop the battery in. I'm not going to bother with the SIM card just for now. And then the back cover basically goes on like so. That cover goes on like so, and then kind of just slides into place. It's not the most secure, but kind of once it's on, and that's it. On the back we have a 5 megapixel autofocus camera with a couple of LEDs for an LED flash, see, for illuminating your subject. LED flash, no, they're not perfect, but they're not bad. It's better than nothing. The front, as I say, the screen is actually a 5-inch display, and it's actually 800 by 480 pixels. It is actually a transflective screen rather than an ammo LED or anything like that, which we're kind of coming to expect now from a lot of the mobile devices at the moment. So let's just see if we can power on. The lights here under the buttons have just illuminated, and you see the screen has just come on. We'll just wait for that to power up. And while we do so, let me just run down the rest of the specification. It weighs only 220 grams, which isn't bad considering the size of the actual device itself. And in terms of size, it's 153 millimeters wide, nearly 80 millimeters kind of tall or broad, if you like, and just under 10 millimeters thick. It is extremely slim and very impressive. Apple just having announced the iPhone 4 at 9.3 millimeters. This is only 9.9, 9.98, so just under 10. Considering what's inside this device, that's an impressive statistic to boast, really, how thin it is. This particular model is running Android 1.6. Android 1.6 is what's shipping at the moment on the Dell Streak. But there is going to be a 2.1 version and a 2.1 upgrade, as we understand it, within the next few weeks. Hopefully that will actually materialise, and that isn't just a marketing spin, because I think this really will benefit from 2.1. 1000 megahertz processor, 1 gigahertz processor, 256 meg of RAM and 512 meg of ROM. There's 2 gig of onboard storage plus that 16 gig micro SD card. It's pretty impressive. As I say, transflective TFT display with the Gorilla Glass, which is practically indestructible, although don't try that at home, kids. It's quad band for GSM and tri-band for UMTS HSDPA. The micro SD card socket does support up to 32 gig micro SDHC memory cards. Bluetooth 2.1 with EDR support. Built-in Wi-Fi supporting 802.11b and G. Assisted GPS, also supports geotagging with the camera on the back, which is again pretty cool. And as I say, 0.3 megapixel camera on the front is will be used for video conferencing and video calling, but it isn't supported at the moment. And a 1530 milliamp hour battery. So we're just waiting for that to boot up. And well, it did take a little while. I haven't stopped and started the recording there, but this is the first time it's booted. I don't imagine for a moment that it will take that long every time we turn the device on. I'm sure it won't be that much of a problem. So screen is unlocked. Let's unlock the screen, and then we're presented with, well, a kind of familiar looking Android interface, although albeit sort of quite wide and a lot of real estate there. Welcome to Dell Streak. Well, I want to set it up in English. It's going to kind of tell me a bit about it. The bar tips. And we'll just quickly cycle through these and press home to exit. Okay, so we've got the Google search bar, and you'll notice that it has got the Google sort of voice search there, so we can press that to actually do a voice style search and use our voice to perform a search. And we have a bar down the bottom here which indicates the Wi-Fi is off, Bluetooth is off, but GPS is on, and synchronization is set to on. And well, backlight brightness, I think that's probably means that it's set to auto. If getting started there, the phone, we go to phone and see that we can actually have an on-screen dialer. Considering how big the device is and how big the screen is, the numbers that I'm dialing are extremely tiny, and the buttons could actually do with being a little bit larger. I mean, let's face it, you've got quite a lot of room there, that's kind of being wasted. But you know, you can make a call with it. I have to say, I think I would feel pretty stupid using this to make a phone call. It's huge. It's very retro in terms of its size. So it does feel like going back to sort of the 90s with how big handsets were then. So like I say, I think I would feel pretty daft making a call on this handset. And if we compare that to, say, the HD2, which in itself is actually a pretty large handset, you can say it really does dwarf that. And by way of another comparison, just to put things in perspective, that's the Streak versus the iPad. And many would argue that the iPad can do a lot more, and others would argue that Android could do a lot more. But that does give you a bit of a comparison of the two, though. Really, as you can see, it has rotated. It did rotate the display there. If I actually rotate that way, it does have a built-in accelerometer, so it will actually rotate there. So let's head back out of here and go back to the home screen. So we have contacts, messaging, browser, maps and market, and then we have another sort of page worth of stuff. We can actually use widgets and other shortcuts on there. So there's a YouTube and camera, touchdown, Google Mail and so on, photos and video. That's all there is that way, and there's another screen this way which has Facebook and Twitter. Obviously I haven't signed into anything just at the moment. So only 3 pages of apps and widgets though on the home screen, as opposed to 5 or 7 on later versions of Android. So again, hopefully when the operating system does get upgraded to 2.1 or even hopefully 2.2, we might actually see some more real estate for our apps and widgets, so that's pretty cool anyway. Pushing the home button allows us to add, will actually allow us to add widgets, change the wallpaper, search, notifications and settings, and then we can go up the top here, and it's kind of like the start bar. So we have things up here like browser, phone, contacts, Google Mail, email, market, and then we can go to more, and that does kind of bring up everything that's installed. And we can notice that there's Google Talk in here, Google Mail, MP3 store, which is the Amazon MP3 store, which is pretty decent. Quick Office is pre-installed, and voice search, Nuance, voice control, YouTube client. Pretty standard looking stuff really, to be honest with you. The display is pretty decent. It's certainly not as good as an AMOLED display, but that said, it's working quite well. Obviously very bright lighting conditions here for shooting the video, and when I angle it that way you can see clearly that there is a lot of reflection, and I haven't taken the screen protector off. Maybe I should do that. Let's just take the screen protector off that it ships with. But as you can see, extremely reflective and shiny, but get the angle just right and it's very clear, so not really a problem. So let's just come back out of there. Okay, so if we minimise that at the top, and we'll go and turn on the Wi-Fi, so we go into settings, and it wants to actually work that way around for the settings menu apparently. Wireless controls, Wi-Fi settings, let's add a Wi-Fi network. I'll actually turn Wi-Fi on would help, and add a Wi-Fi network, and we'll go ahead and do that. As I'm doing that, you can see the keyboard has come up. It's actually giving me some hints as well. The keyboard, again, isn't massive. I would think that there is a lot more room that we could actually use on the screen there for the keyboard. But that said, it seems to work okay. Okay, and we are connected, and we do have an internet connection, so let's skip back out of there. Go back home. Now we have an indicator there saying that we are connected to Wi-Fi. So with that in mind, let's go to the browser. Go online, waiting for the screen to rotate, there we go. And let's go to ACM Mat. Let's see how quickly that loads. As you can see there, before I actually do press go, we have a decent keyboard there with 3 rows of keys, well 4 if you count the sort of spacebar and shift keys, and plus a numeric pad on the side, which is decent. It's nice to actually have that numeric pad. It's more like a desktop style keyboard, so it's pretty good. So let's go and let's see how quickly this page loads. Bear in mind we're over Wi-Fi using a broadband connection. It's loading very quickly, rendering pretty fast. I think the page is done. You'll notice that it's loaded kind of full size to begin with, but we can use 2 fingers to zoom out or zoom in, so that's kind of fitting the whole thing on the screen width wise, and we can just scroll through our content that way. Scrolls quite nicely, and even at that zoom level, I don't know if you'll make it out on the video, but it's certainly readable. That text can be read quite easily at that zoom level and at that resolution. And I can zoom in, and does that maximum zoom in and maximum zoom out, and I can double tap. If I double tap, it should zoom. Now double tap doesn't zoom in or out, it doesn't scale it or anything like that, so that doesn't work in that respect. So I would have expected that perhaps double tap would have done something there, but sadly not. So let's come back out of there and let's fire up maps, and let's see if that picks up the GPS signal. Hopefully it should do pretty quickly. You can see that it's actually flashing away at the top, trying to find a connection or trying to find a GPS signal. I should point out that I am indoors and it is the first time I've fired up the GPS, so perhaps it won't find it straight away if at all. I'll give it another couple of seconds. Okay, it doesn't seem to want to pick up the GPS signal, but I'll come back to that in a moment, see if that does actually warm up and come up in a minute. Android Market, I'm going to go and sign into Android Market and have a look at what that's like on this device. So we go next here, sign in, and I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, and we've signed into the Android Market and we're looking at the terms and conditions. We'll go ahead and just accept those for now. Wait for that to load up. Okay, as you can see, it does work reasonably well on this display. Everything's kind of stretched kind of wide, so there's a lot of gaps here in the middle, but it does work okay. It does list obviously stuff that's available for download, so this is featured download. Have a look at the apps, and we go back, we look at games, and go back and we look at downloads. And it's going to offer me an update for Google Maps, so I'm going to go ahead and make that update and let that perform in the background, which is there. It's showing you at the top is downloading that update, so let's let that do that. We'll pop back out of there, and while it's doing that I'm going to go into Google Mail, because signing into the Android Market has automatically signed into my Google Mail account. So this Google Mail account is one that I just use for testing Android devices, so it has just fired up as you can see there. And it's been a while since I've used this account obviously, but that works quite well. I can look at my mail. Mail is laid out quite nicely. No real frills, but it works quite well. And we can come back out of there by clicking the back button. And well, you get the idea. So that's Google Mail. I'll actually go and sign into my regular email accounts as well at some point, and actually come back and do a more detailed video of some of the other bits and pieces, but there's no need to do that in this video, I don't think. So this should be telling me that as Google Maps has downloaded and successfully installed. So let's try going into that again now. Touchscreen is quite sensitive, have to say. It's pretty impressive. Multi-touch isn't working in Google Maps, which is a bit of a shame. That's one of the apps that I really would like multi-touch to work in for the sort of pinch to zoom, but sadly that doesn't work in the Google Maps. So it's a bit of a shame. I suspect that somebody might well come up with a fix for that by using the version from another device or something like that, or even perhaps if they add the support when they release 2.1. Fingers crossed. It's really not wanting to pick up a GPS signal, so we'll just abandon that for now. As I say, I am very much indoors, so that's probably why it's not picking anything up, and it is a cold start, as it were. So let's come back out of there, go back into the menu and have a look at the full list of apps. And I'm going to go into, interestingly, we've ended up with 2 Google Mail icons now, which is bizarre, and we have a navigation item there as well. So have a look at the YouTube client. We have a search for Leo D, which is my alter ego. Leo D unboxing, 195 results. And well, we can see one of my latest videos there, Samsung Wave on the HD. Well, let's just pick that for fun and see how long that takes to play. Well, pretty quick. I am over broadband, as I mentioned earlier on, but didn't take long to buffer and start playing. Seems to work very well. Have the pause and play controls at the bottom, and also I can skip to various portions of the video. So it's pretty decent. The video quality, well, bearing in mind it's YouTube, which tends to be a bit grainy anyway, isn't bad at all. So pretty impressed with the YouTube client. I'm sure video and media and that sort of stuff is what we're going to be seeing people using this sort of device for anyway. Email, web browsing, that kind of stuff. Let's just take a quick look at the camera, and well, we'll just put the manual in place there, and well, let's just see, take a picture. There we go. And that isn't bad, not bad at all in actual fact. I don't know how we go back to that. Let's actually see if we can go back and have a look at that. Also, let's go into photos and video, and we can see it's there. I'm noticing that when you go from app to app, it doesn't seem to really retain your rotational information, if you like. So I went from one app, which was very much in landscape, and opened up this, and it opened up in portrait, which I guess may get a little annoying, but I guess perhaps you'll get used to it. So that's the picture it's just taken. I think that's pretty impressive. There is pinch to zoom here, which is pretty good, and the picture quality's rather good considering that's just a picture of that. So that's not bad at all. I'll obviously take some more photos and more videos when I actually come to do the full review, and take some outside rather than just of random things on the table. We'll actually take some more of those later. So let's just go ahead and delete that image for now. I'll come back out there. So is there any other media? Let's just check, see if there's any other media on here. Doesn't look like there is. No, there's no other video, there's no other content on there at the moment. It doesn't come supplied with any content. Sometimes devices obviously have sample content, so this doesn't. Just pop into contacts. So you can see it has picked up some of the contacts that I've got as part of my Gmail account. Also heading for 3 there, but that's how they would show up. That's pretty good. And let's go to calendar, because we're often asked about the calendar in actual fact. So let's go and find the calendar. There we go. So that's your regular calendar. Obviously month view there, and we can change to day view. So we can scroll through all the different hours of the day, and we can change to week view, and we'll switch to agenda view. Well, it's only telling me about 2 sort of standard events because I haven't really synchronized this with any of my useful accounts. So let's go back to the day view, and then let's click on there. We go to new event, and adding an event is dead straightforward. Again, that's one question we get asked very frequently: how easy is it to add contacts, calendar, appointments and stuff like that. So it's pretty straightforward. So let's just get back out of there. See if there's anything I've missed. I think that's all of the sort of main features or main things on here. We've got Outlook notes and tasks. Well, that's only going to work when you actually start synchronizing with an Outlook client or email exchange client. So I'll go ahead and do that later on and come back with another video of that and go to music. Don't think there's any actually pre-installed by the looks of it, which again is a bit of a shame. Generally devices do come with at least a little bit of sample music, but it doesn't appear that this one has. A bit of a shame, so never mind. I'll just get back out there. And one last try at the maps. And we give it a go. I don't think it's going to work though. And obviously I haven't downloaded any of the assisted GPS data either, so it's perhaps a little bit of an unfair test, but nevertheless it isn't working indoors, so perhaps that's indicative of the sensitivity of the GPS. So I think that's really covers most of the things in here. I suppose we could just take a quick look at settings. The wireless controls we've already seen. We can partner with services, call settings, applications, data synchronization and so on, accessibility, date and time, about device. Well, let's just pop into there. As you can see there, firmware version is 1.6. Tells us about our status and battery use, those sorts of things, and build versions. All very interesting stuff if you know what they mean. And finally, let's just go and take a look at the wallpaper. There's no live wallpaper because it's Android 1.6. Don't think Android 1.6 will support that. But we have a wallpaper gallery, and we have a couple of wallpapers, if you like. So these are obviously what's supplied by O2, and there's the O2 Arena, and other pages worth of sample imagery that you can use for the wallpaper. Some of which is rather nice, some of which is kind of dull, but we'll just leave it at that for now. So as I say, this is the Dell Streak, available on O2 right now. It is available on pay-as-you-go if you want to buy online, but not available on pay-as-you-go in store. If you want to get it kind of SIM-free or pay-as-you-go, there is an option if you want to get it in store, and that is to get it on a 30-day contract, 30-day notice account. Put £10 on the account and then cancel it straight away. That will actually allow you to buy it for £399 and 99p plus £10 for the first month of data. So that is an option if you want to actually just kind of get the device and use it without a contract. Otherwise you can get it on contract, 25 quid a month from free, which is pretty cool, and they are 18 to 24 month contracts. But as I say, if you want to get it on pay-as-you-go, head over to the O2 website and get it online rather than buying it in store. So that's to say, Dell Streak, going to have a full review for you over the next couple of weeks. Going to go ahead and use this. I'm using it probably alongside my Apple iPad, and we'll do a comparison in terms of which one I'm using most, which one's the most practical, well, which one we can use for phone calls. We already know the answer for that one. Only the Dell Streak can make the phone calls. So I'll have a full review for you over on tracyandmatt.co.uk over the next couple of weeks. And don't forget to check us out on Twitter, twitter.com/tracyandmatt, and over on Facebook, facebook.com/tracyandmatt.co.uk. I'll be back soon with some more videos and reviews on tracyandmatt.co.uk.